Hi, I'm Kent the Deck Chef Whitaker, and today we're going to be talking about how to grill pork ribs using a dry rub. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can start off with a dry rub that you can buy at any store, a seasoning or a marinade mix, and use that as your dry rub for your pork ribs. Or you can make one of your own. You can find all kinds of different recipes online for dry rubs or in cookbooks. It's really a matter of taste. I personally enjoy a traditional dry rub, which is a paprika, garlic, lots of other secret seasonings, but that's what barbecue's all about. They like to keep secrets. So whether you use your own dry rub or whether you buy one from a store, it doesn't really matter. Now what we're doing with the pork rib here is basically starting out with any store-bought pork rib. Now some people will cut off the end right here, and some people will cut it right here along the rib line to make a prettier rib. But I'm all about getting it on the grill, ready to go with as little effort as possible, and that way more people are likely to try it at home. So you can cut this off here, cut it off here if you want to, and you can also remove some of the fat as you go. It all depends on the rib that you have. But once you have your rib cleaned up, we're going to rub it down with our rub and get ready to put it on the grill. It all depends on the rib you buy, whether you want to remove some of the fat. What you want to do is look for some of the fat that might build up. Just get rid of some of this. Use a knife that you're comfortable with, nice and sharp. Put that to the side. Trim off what you want, flip the rib over, and do the same thing to the back. Get rid of this right here. Get rid of all these pieces. And also, look for the membrane. Now all this is going to render off pretty good as you cook it on the grill, so you don't have to be too picky. Just get the big pieces off. Some people also cut off this little flap right here, or this little flap, and they use it as a snack as they're grilling, but you don't have to do that. Next thing we're going to do is get rid of the membrane. Now the great thing about pork ribs is you can cook them a lot of different ways, but there's two things you need to know about a membrane. The membrane is basically a vapor barrier, a barrier between the ribs and the inside of the cavity of the pork. What you want to do is either remove this membrane or score it so that flavor can get all the way through. Now, once you get it started up here in the corner, you can see the membrane right here. You can grab it with a paper towel or something dry, even pliers if you need to, and start pulling it back. Now, if it proves real difficult, a lot of rib restaurants don't even do this. The secret in the industry, if it proves difficult, is to take your knife and score it several times. Just making an X pattern, and that will allow all of the flavor to get through. Okay, so the next step after you take the membrane off, we're going to apply the rub. Now what I like to do so you don't waste any of the rub is get just a simple lasagna pan, a foil pan like this. Take your rib, put it inside, take the rub, and start sprinkling her down. Now I'm doing the underside first. Make sure it gets nice and coated, and then just flip. Do the same thing with the outside of the rib. Saves a lot of mess if you put it in a pan like this or a cookie sheet, whatever you have. Make sure that you get the outside edges so everything's nice and coated. So once you get it all in there, much as you like. Now I like to use a rub with a little bit less sodium in it because I don't want all that extra salt in the flavor of the rib. So I've got her rubbed down there nice and even, and then I'm going to let it rest for about an hour or so in the refrigerator and let that sink in until we're ready to put it on the grill. Okay, we've got the ribs out of the refrigerator. They've been hit with our dry rub. Now, today I'm using a gas grill. Every grill's different, so I'm not going to assume that you have a different kind of grill or any kind of grill you have, whether you use charcoal or gas, it's all right. And I prefer using wood chips on a lot of my grills. If you have a wood chip burner or wood chunks in a charcoal grill, just depends on what you have. Add a little bit extra smoke flavor to it. So we got the ribs ready to go. All we're going to do, we've let that sink in pretty good. Going to hit the grill with a little bit of non-stick spray. Got her going, it's nice and warm. Bring the ribs over. And what we're going to do in this is simply sear the side of the ribs for a few minutes on both sides. I'm going to start off with the top. And what we want to do is sear this a little bit on both sides. Depends on your grill, depends on the heat you have going, but anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes per side just to get a nice glazed golden color. Alright, what we got is the ribs are nice and charred on both sides. Not burnt, just nice and golden and sealed up with flavor. But what we're going to do is take a little apple juice and apple vinegar. This is called a wet mop. Now, not everybody has a mop. Not everybody has those kind of cool barbecue things, so yes, you can use a spoon. It's okay. So what you want to do is just take some of this moisture, a little apple juice, a little apple vinegar, put it on there. Is that all right? And the next step is to wrap these babies up in some foil. What you want to do so you got them on the foil, just want to wrap them up. Now these are nowhere near done, but they're going to have a lot of flavor and they're going to be very moist, and there's really no way that you can mess them up if you've been scared to do ribs on the grill. Got them nice and tight. If you'd like more foil, add more foil. What we're going to do is turn our grill all the way down to low. Put the ribs on top. Let some of that heat get out of there. Probably going to turn this one off. And what we're going to do is get the temperature down to about 200, 225, not more than 300 degrees. And we're going to flip these ribs every 20 minutes for about 2 hours. Alright, I think we're done. What you're going to look for with your ribs is, what's going to happen is they're going to be a little bit looser in the middle as the fat is rendered off. It's going to be a little bit more flimsier than when you started. And also, you'll start to see a lot of the juices start to render out. That means you're darn close to going. And I think these are done just by the way you can feel them. And they're real flimsy. So what we're going to do is keep them wrapped up. Turn off our grill. And all we got to do is let these babies rest for about 5-10 minutes. Let the juices settle in, and then it's time to eat some dinner. Okay, the ribs have sat for about 5 or 10 minutes. All the juices are evenly distributed. What we're going to do is get them out of this foil because I am hungry. Whew. So here we have our finished rib. Before you serve them, give them another little sprinkle with your dry rub. These are still pretty hot, so be careful. And all you need to do is find a bone right there, and you can cut along the bone, nice and tender, ready to go. Great ribs, good eating. Alright, this has always been a favorite recipe for readers of my cookbooks, and it's one of mine too. You can find out more information about me, Kent the Deck Chef Whitaker, at thedeckchef.com, and more information on how to cook these ribs.